Hey everybody, Brad Geiger with another episode of Webcomics Confidential, and today I'd like to talk to you about your schedule. Notably, understanding how your readers are consuming media content and allowing that to drive your decision making in terms of scheduling. Here's the problem that I'm seeing. A lot of people feel the need, the pressure to publish something right now, to publish something today, or to publish something on a regular schedule. And as a result, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that's being published really before it's ready, especially in terms of humor content. A lot of jokes that are not landing because they really need to be rewritten and re-edited and have the concepts pushed further on them. I'm seeing a lot of stuff published that just that isn't ready to be published, and the only reason it's being published, I think, is that the cartoonist feels the need to maintain a schedule. So it's time that we talked about scheduling and whether it's really important to maintain a consistent schedule. That sounds weird to a lot of you who have grown up maybe listening to the old Webcomics Weekly podcast, that read the old How to Make Webcomics book, even read the Webcomics Handbook, which is really due for a second edition at this point. All of the information that you've been following that tells you to maintain a consistent schedule, that was information that was given during a time when the web was completely different. Most webcomics back then were ad-driven, and so that it was important to maintain not only a consistent schedule, but a frequent schedule to maximize ad views. Also, this was pre-social media for the most part, and that means that your readers were consuming content very differently than they are today. So let's do a contrast. Back then, when it was important to maintain a schedule, your readers were foragers. They were out in search of content, and they had to find content. They had to go looking for content. And when they found content, there were some ways that they had at their disposal to capture that content and come back to it again. In other words, they could bookmark a web page. They could put they could put your comic into an RSS reader so that they could be notified the next time you updated. There is a number of ways that they had, once they successfully foraged and found content they liked, they could keep that content for later so that they could find it again. They were literally hunters and gatherers, okay? Today, the media consumption landscape, the web publishing landscape particularly, is very different from them. That is no longer a hunter-gatherer, forager type of situation. Now you can picture your reader as somebody who has pulled their chair right up to a mile-long buffet. Okay, and it is constantly being filled with food. And you can even picture a conveyor belt taking the food past them. So here's maybe some meat, there's some potatoes, there's a dessert. So it's on a conveyor belt, constantly going past them, and they're pulled right up to this smorgasbord, and they are picking whatever they see at the moment that looks good to them. They don't need to go out in search of content. Content is being swept past them in an unending stream of new stuff that's being presented to them over and over and over again. They don't have to go looking for stuff. It's being swept past them. They just have to reach out with their fork and spear what looks appetizing to them at the moment. As a result, between that and the fact that the ad revenue system for webcomics is all but completely dead, you have to rethink your schedule. That sounds maybe scary because change is scary. It's actually really good news for you as a web cartoonist. It means that you don't have to be a slave to the schedule. You don't feel a need to post something right now because you post every Monday or you post every Tuesday and Thursday. You've got a publishing schedule that you feel that you need to uphold. This is no longer the case. You can now wait until you've polished something, until it's really good, and you can post something when it's ready and it's going to have its maximum effectiveness. And by the way, you can see this for yourself. Are you posting things on social media that is getting no response at all, or very little response, or maybe response from the same people over and over again? Particularly if these are other web cartoonists who expect you to like their stuff as quid pro quo. There are a lot of ways of knowing that you're not generating an impact on the general populace. And you can't blame it all on the algorithm. It's partly because you're posting stuff before it's ready, before it's good. And the part of this way to get past that is to remove yourself from the feeling that you've got to maintain a schedule. Back in the day, the Penny Arcade guys said something that I really, at the time, of course it was under a different landscape, you have to remember, but at the time it really struck me as wrong. And we asked them, why don't you do a daily comic? Why are you doing just 1 or 2 a week? And they said, we would rather give our readers steak twice a week than give them hamburgers every day. And at the time, man, I really bristled when I heard that. But not only did they have, maybe they were before their time, not only did they have the right idea, but they definitely have the idea that's right for the publishing landscape we find ourselves in right now. This is the mindset you need to adopt, and that is give your readers steak, whether it's once a week, once every 2 weeks. Wait until it's ready and then release it. And I think you're going to find a lot better social media traction, and that really is where the game is being played in webcomics publishing right now. Now, does that mean that you only update, you only hit Twitter once or twice a week when you've got a new comic? No. Particularly Twitter and increasingly Instagram. Instagram particularly is a place to go with sketches, work in progress, talking about the process, talking about something else, making a conversation, making sure there's a heartbeat there for the people who are following you on social media. There's a lot of things that you can post other than the comic, so that when you do post the comic, you've got an audience there that's already kind of tuned in and ready to hear it. Instagram is, I can't emphasize this enough, Instagram loves process. They love sketches. They love time-lapse video of you drawing. They love to see an artist doing what they love, right? They love to see somebody enjoying the craft. They like to see somebody expressing exuberance over the craft. There's lots of things that you can do on social media other than post your comic. And then when you do post that polished, refined, well-done comic, it's going to get a lot more response. You're going to have a lot bigger impact on social media than if you were putting out crap day after day after day, and every now and again hitting a bright spot, a moment of brilliance, and then going back to crap day after day after day. In fact, what you're going to find is if you doing this hurts you on social media, because if you put out crap day after day after day, they're going to see you as you slide by their smorgasbord, right? As you slide past on the conveyor belt, they're going to start to recognize your style, and they're going to start to realize that chances are, if they click on that, if they swipe through the panels in Instagram, that you're going to disappoint them, and they're just going to let it slide by. You can get a bad reputation by posting crap day after day after day after day. Adhering to a schedule can actually hurt you more than help you in today's webcomics publishing. This is Brad Geiger for Webcomics Confidential. Hit the comments, let me know what you think, and have a great day.